listening to the Ice Prep Podcast. Here's your hosts, Bryan and Pat.
Welcome, everyone, to Ice Prep Podcast. Pat, can you sit up? You're like halfway on the screen.
I know.
There we go.
I was relaxing.
Yeah, because Pat's relaxing because his game hasn't started yet. We're officially in the playoffs. Last time we talked, the playoffs hadn't started yet. As we are recording, the second set of Game 2's underway. So the Leafs looking much better in their game.
Yep.
Devils not. So, yeah, that's a whole lot of fun. It's making me not feel good about this right now.
So I wouldn't say that they don't look good.
Or
They don't look better. They look better. Like, they didn't get any shots on the power play last game. Like, they didn't.
Yeah, their first goal was a power play goal. However, penalty issues causing them trouble tonight, just from what I've seen. A lot of people calling for Miles Woodhead again. He's getting a lot of unnecessary penalties. And the refs are calling it this year. Years past, they were like, you guys just play this year. They did it in the first round last year too, though.
They're calling it this year for that series.
They've called a ton for the Edmonton series as well.
Yeah, I'm not, but like, it's not for all series.
Yes.
And I have a feeling we're going to have a chat about the reffing and how quality it's been.
They're giving the MLB a run for their money. It's been an interesting. Did you see earlier today with Max Scherzer getting tossed?
Was it for the sticky stuff?
Yeah, the stuff that the MLB legally allows.
No, he was suspended for 10 games.
Oh, he actually did get suspended?
He wasn't using a legal sticky substance. So, I don't know. Maybe he had gum. Maybe he sat on, some tree. I don't know. He sat on some tree.
That's a whole crazy thing in MLB. And yeah, but this is, we don't have to sidetrack. We're actually in the playoffs. It's the first set of games, and I guess we can include last night. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
First time since 2003 that at least 6 of the openers were won by the away team. You have to go back to 2003. That is so incredibly rare. The second night of games, which includes the Leafs, the Devils, the Avs, and the Golden Knights, that was a straight sweep by the away teams, which is, I don't think anybody saw that coming. And of course, now there's only one series that is at 2-0. Carolina wins it in overtime last night. Bad news for them in that, though, is they are going to be without Teravainen.
Yeah.
Slash broke his hand.
The uncalled Slash broke his hand.
Yes.
So, literally a slash right on the hands. It's very clear if you watch any replay that was a slash, and he had the puck. Like
it's a bad one.
How do you miss that?
Yeah, like he had surgery, I think today, or is like in it right now type thing. So it's not going to be a Kadri situation where he could come back if it's late. Like, no, he is out. And that is another big goal scorer down for Carolina. Luckily for them, Brent Burns decided he was in his mid-20s again. He is playing out of his mind. If somehow Carolina makes a run to the finals, he is already their like Conn Smythe winner.
Yeah, no, he's definitely playing better than I honestly expected him to. I figured that there was going to be like a far larger drop off with him this season.
Well,
but he just needed a change of scenery, it seems.
We talked about it a few episodes ago that it was Carlson and Burns on the same team. It was just too much of the same thing, and they separate. And what happens? Carlson has a 100+ point season, and Brent Burns looks like the Brent Burns when he won the Norris Trophy. So it's like, oh, I guess you kind of like. There's a reason why you typically only want one of those guys on your team, right? And that kind of showed it.
Yeah, no, and it's I think the first I heard it was on Dangle's podcast of the sword and shield, and you can't have two swords. And as much as you might think it'll work, it just doesn't.
It rarely does.
If you have two swords, you need to have a line in front of them that's predominantly either two-way or defensive forward. So it's a wash one way or another. So yeah.
Yeah, so that series, they're up 2-0. The big shocker last night, Panthers just handing it to the Bruins. Where did that one go? I had it here. There it is. Just flipping through all my tabs. In 41 home games in the regular season, the Bruins allowed 45 goals at even strength. That is ridiculous. They allowed 5 last night against the Panthers. Panthers win that game 6-3. And that series, that's the one that I said, not to toot my own horn, Panthers are probably the only team that could make Boston look bad or run them out. They play heavier and dirtier than Boston does. Yeah, there was that funny moment in game 1 with what's his face who used to be on Detroit.
Oh, Bertuzzi.
Bertuzzi stealing the stick and then bringing it to the bench and trying to snap it. But that's just a rat play. That's what Marchand does. Florida's got players that are nasty, and they showed it last game. And
everyone forgets that Sam Bennett is a Florida Panther, and he is really good at being awful.
He was not in game 1. He comes in game 2, and you could tell every time he was on the ice. So it's interesting because this is the first time, I think, in years we've seen a series where Boston looks like the one that is being pushed around this much just because of how heavy they're playing.
You know, it's funny because Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, those are two former Calgary Flames that are now playing playoff hockey. And what was Kadri's thing? He wanted to get a big paycheck and play playoff hockey. So
he got the paycheck. We'll get to Kadri because we've got something from him from what happened. Yep. We'll get there. So that series is tied 1-1. Dallas making the Wild look stupid. Wild won game 1. Was that the one that went double OT? Yes.
Yep.
Hartman, who should still be suspended for his hit on Ehlers in the final or the second last game of the season. Ehlers, I'm not sure if he's playing tonight for Winnipeg. Dallas wins 7-3. That one's crazy. And here we've got this one as well because Roope Hintz gets the hat trick and joins a very rare club because he scored 3 different ways, which made Pat think when we were talking about this pre-show, that means a even strength, a power play, and a shorthanded goal. First time since 2015 we've seen that, and that was in the conference finals. So Dallas is scary. They're just as defensively strong. Yeah, they're just as defensively strong as last year, except they've got a lot of goal scoring. Last year they were like, okay, we're going to win every game 2-1 or 1-0. This is a 7-3 game?
That's probably more goals than they had in the one series they played in last season.
Or close to. Their first 2 games, definitely, because 10 goals for them in the first 2 games.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious. I'm going to look that up. But
Pat's going to look that up. And then, of course, we've got the Oilers, who gave up a 2-goal lead in game 1. Kings ended up winning that one in overtime. Game 2 last night, Oilers up 2-0. They give up a 2-goal lead, which led to a ridiculous amount of panic online, which was fun to watch. The Oilers get the victory there. So the 3 of the 4 series on night 1, they're all tied. And because of how Draisaitl and McDavid are playing, Pat didn't like that there's 3 Oilers on this. No. Most playoff points per game all time. Surprise, Gretzky number 1, 1.84. Mario 1.61. Draisaitl is officially tied with Mario Lemieux for points per game in the playoffs. And what's crazy is McDavid is behind him. He's still in the top 5 all-time list, but it's because McDavid he hasn't scored yet. He's only gotten assists these playoffs. So,
well, yeah, he hasn't really had an opportunity to, because everyone's like, the reason that Draisaitl does so well is because the whole team has to focus on McDavid,
and that's part of the plan.
But like, I don't know. It's why I'm just like, he's overrated. I still fully believe that if the whole team has the laser focus on Connor McDavid and pulls all of their defensive efforts and their top tier defenders to focus on one player, and then the other player just can go against, the B team or the C team. Yeah, of course they're going to play well when they're at least good. He's a good hockey player. He is not a superstar. I am saying he is at the same tier as Austin Matthews, not a superstar.
I think it was last week we said that Matthews is lucky if he's in the Draisaitl tier based off of how Draisaitl played this past year. So it was a fun opening night, and then last night, as you and I have said, though, it sucks that the only game that we kind of have interest in is the latest one, the Kings and the Oilers.
Yeah.
I
could care less, honestly. Boston, Florida, sure, whatever. I don't particularly care.
Carolina Islanders.
Let's be honest. Yeah, so Boston's going to win that. Plain and simple. We can root for Florida as much as you want, but 99,000 times out of 100, whatever math. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but whatever. At 99.999% of the time, Boston's going to win that series. So that's a wash. Islanders, I could care less about. Islanders versus anybody, just burn that entire playoff series. If they go to the Cup, I'll just jump off my top deck. And then, what's the other game that's on?
Dallas, Minnesota.
Yeah, Dallas, Minnesota. That is just a slogfest.
And that's two teams that, for the most part, you don't like. And you're watching that, at least because if you win, that's who you face in the next round. But we'll get to how night 2 went, which, let's be honest, has the more exciting games. Every other team that lost, so the Golden Knights, the Avalanche, and the Devils, were very thankful that the Leafs imploded the way that they did, because nobody talked about the Devils losing 5-1, call it 4-1, that was an empty net goal. Nobody talked about the Jets demolishing the Golden Knights 5-1. A few people kind of mentioned the Kraken beating the Avalanche because they were like, hooray, the Kraken won their first ever one. But all the focus was on the Lightning 7-3 over the Leafs. And a big part of that was Michael Bunting, shades of Kyle Clifford, shades of Nazem Kadri, match penalty, suspended 3 games.
Well, the kid's an idiot. I'm sorry. This is a contract year. What a stupid thing to do.
Oh, that hit.
You have a golden opportunity and you piss it away. Plain and simple. It's baffling to me. This is his career. If I knew that I had a massive presentation, the rest of the projection of my career depends on this series of presentations I have to do. And I decide that I'm going to walk up and drop F-bombs out the gate and call somebody a loser. That's what he did. He made the choice to do that. You can get angry. You can have adrenaline. You can do whatever. You can call it whatever you want. He made the conscious decision to make that hit, knowing that it was interference to begin with, so a penalty regardless, and that he was going to be hitting high. He knew what he was doing, and he just burned his paycheck. He is going to be paid 4th line money, even though he's a good, probably 2nd to 3rd line player. Idiot move. Absolutely stupid. Obviously, the hit's awful. You never want to see a person get hit like that. That's terrible. But plain and simple, it was infuriating to watch, because it's just you've just ruined your career.
The second it happened, I was laying upstairs watching the game with my wife, and we were flipping back and forth between the Devils game and the Leafs game, and it was like, wow, we can watch a loss or a loss. Second I saw that hit, I said to my wife, he's going to get suspended, and I was texting my buddy Mark, and I called the Nylander goal, honestly, a minute before it happened, because I was like, watch, they're on the power play, Nylander's going to score. I said they'll tie it up. And then that happened, and immediately I was like, Bunting's going to get suspended. The game's over, and he stopped watching it at that point because he agreed. It was so bad. And as you said, Cernak, he's not playing tonight for Tampa, so we hope that he's okay. The Leafs bring Matthew Nyes in, and as it stands right now, he's not really made a difference, but the Leafs have come out to play better.
No, what game have you been watching, Brian?
I haven't been. Okay.
He has looked like he is ready.
Okay.
He's had a little bit of unfortunate puck luck when it comes to close to the net, but he has made fantastic moves. He made, was it Perbix? He completely made him look silly and then walked right in. Just walked directly in and almost put the puck over the pad of Vasilevsky. There was a scramble in front of the net. In front of the net is where he lives. That is his wheelhouse. It's kind of nice that he's rooming with John Tavares because he can get some tips from him. But even still, standing in front of the net, there's a scramble. He sees the puck and he passes it out right to Ryan O'Reilly, who shoots and just barely gets robbed by Vasilevsky. Yes, he did make an unfortunate penalty that wasn't particularly a hooking penalty. It was questionable at best. But he was out for, I think it was over 2 minutes at one point. They got hemmed in their own end. He played smart defensive work, even though he was gassed. But like he looks ready. And I'm pretty sure that if he gets either 2 points assist-wise, or if he gets a goal tonight, there's going to be very difficult questions when that suspension is over.
If the Leafs go 2-1 or 3-0 when Bunting's not there, how do you look at your roster and go, okay, you come back in? He has to sit. It like at that point, he's a liability.
Yeah,
and everybody knew that going in. We can talk a little bit more about that after, because obviously. The Jets in that game, crazy moment. The statement was a player got 75 stitches. We were going to show the picture, and then Pat was like, maybe we don't, so I'm not going to.
If we show the picture, we might get in trouble on YouTube. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, it's as I messaged Pat before, I was like, I want to see Winnipeg go deep just to see how, because when somebody has that type of thing on their face, it starts to look a lot worse before it gets better. And it would be very interesting to see the course of his face over playoffs. That I don't ask why, it's just the way it is. And then, of course, the Avalanche losing to the Kraken. That one, the Avs are still favored to win like 80 some odd % in the series. It is what it is. You're missing so many players.
Well, no, so that's the thing. We're not. So the Avalanche were missing so many players. And then simply by pure magic and mystery and all of those things of cap circumvention,
Mark Stone
came, right? They, for the most part, most of the team members, they came back. So like Lehkonen came back, Byram, I don't think he was hurt, but he was still in. Manson came back. Did Malgin come back? I think he did. Makar came back. So like all of these players that have been out for weeks, some months, all come back for game one, which is like, woo, yay. But also, SpaghettiOs, because everyone hasn't played a hockey game in like weeks to months. So the chemistry was off. They weren't fully there. Manson is a defenseman. What did we say at the start of the season? Obviously, there's more goals at the start of the season because defense isn't quite there yet. They have to get their legs again. They have to get the feel again. It takes a couple games. So I would expect a game like that, honestly. The fact that it was only 3-1, cool. Georgiev didn't look good. The first 2 goals that were let in, he looked like weird and choppy and hemmed. Like he didn't look as smooth as he normally did. So everyone was playing a bit off. So I'm fairly certain that they'll probably be able to put the Kraken down today. But yeah, if they do lose though, like it is what it is. We won the cup last year, so I don't care.
You've got an Avs hat on. You're wearing an Avs jersey. You've got 2 Avs jerseys behind you. Another Colorado hat up on your shelf. Like, you're golden. And it's the one thing, especially with 3 of the 4 games from that night, what everybody said, and it rings so true, is that in the playoffs, the score of the last game does not matter. That's the thing that's nice, is there's no carryover. It starts at 0-0 again, and we'll see where it goes. Yeah, I still think that Colorado has that one. Mind you, my absolutely random NHL bracket had the Kraken winning the Stanley Cup, so I don't think that's going to happen. No. I do want to hop over to this quick, because this one's a little bit more local hockey here for us, Pat. You look at your screen there for a second.
Hey, they did it. I was wondering if they were going to be able to get through the Kitchener Rangers.
Congrats to the London Knights, taking the Kitchener Rangers down in 5 games, winning that one at home. They're off to the conference finals. So that's pretty cool. That's good revenge after last year.
I'll do this for that.
Yeah, since we don't have games of the week anymore, which is so disappointing. I'm just going to sadly drink my beer right now.
Well, I mean, it's not 6-1.
It's not 6-1, but that's the 4th goal for Chris Kreider. I know I'm breaking a rule that I said, but
even still, so like with the New Jersey series, they don't have the team playoff experience. There's some smattering playoff experience. This is a lot of learning for the players. Like did he play, or was he injured?
He played in the 5-game series against Tampa. That was his rookie year. That's when he was the center for Taylor Hall. I just want it to not be a sweep. I would love it to go, say 6 games. We lose out, whatever. The Rangers were probably the worst opponent for the Devils to get.
Because they're already in their head before the puck even drops. It's the battle of those 2 teams.
Yeah,
there's so much history.
So I just want the Devils to be competitive. I have the feeling, as I was mentioning earlier, Miles Wood may not see the ice again in this series. He has had way too many penalties, and I'm pretty sure Kreider scored on 3 of them now.
Well, that's also a major problem. Obviously, taking penalties, not good. You got to kill them. You can. Teams have proven they can.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. I can't stop hiccuping. But like you look at the Leafs, for instance, in their game today, I know they killed at least 2 penalties back to back. So that's how teams win.
Yep.
You got to find a solution for that. You can't let them get in like that. I know that the Rangers are just one of the most wildly stacked teams. It feels like the Rangers and the Leafs are built the exact same way. It's
the
weird.
Rangers have a power play monster like Edmonton does in Draisaitl, except Kreider does it Pavelski style. In front of the net. Oh, that's the one thing we didn't mention for Dallas fans. Sorry, Pavelski. I'm going all over the place. Pavelski not traveling with the team to Minnesota. He will be out game 3 and 4 at the very least.
For the headshot that didn't get any penalty or anything.
Concussion on that one. So
I'm just throwing coasters around for all those hearing those random noises.
So that's kind of the catch up on everything that's happened. They've been good games. I know we were like we had mentioned earlier that the games of, I'm calling it night 1 just because they're the games that took place first. I know you and I were talking a lot more last night with both of those early games. It was exciting because low scoring playoff games are fun.
Yep.
But low scoring, low event playoff games, they're the most boring thing you can get. Whereas both of those games yesterday, they were crazy. The Islanders-Hurricanes game, that was fun. Unexpectedly so. And so it's going to be interesting to see what way those ones go. As you said, I don't think the Islanders can take a single game off the Hurricanes. I think that's going to be one of two sweeps that we see in the first
we'll
round.
See. I mean, when it's I know I'm just kind of mumbling right now, but they're missing Turbo, so Teravainen, and they're also missing Svechnikov. Those
and
are
Pacioretty.
Yeah, like I mean, Patches. Who knows what his impact on the team would be? Unfortunately, I mean, Achilles.
Yeah.
What? It's just the worst. But I don't know. I did have them favored coming out of the East over Boston because I think that they would have been the better team at full health, with or without what's his face Patches. But now that they're missing those two key players, like they're still good. I have a feeling they'll get into the second round, but I don't think they're going to go much further than that because that's just two. There's more injuries coming. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, it's how much can they play through, and obviously if you have to get surgery because your hand's broken, that's one that ends it. There's probably already some players that are in most other sports. They'd be like, "Yep, not playing." Like the dude that comes out. So here's the fun thing with the NHL. The reason why, if anybody's ever wondered, so when they get stitches like, why can't I remember his name, but the Winnipeg Jet player.
Morgan Barron.
When players like Morgan Barron get stitches like that, they're not allowed to get it frozen. They have to do it without anything. Because the second they get it frozen, they can't get back into the game. Which is, excuse me? So his face gets sliced open like that. He has to take nothing besides probably like Advil or Tylenol, and he goes back in. That's hockey players.
There might be an adrenaline shot. Or
yeah,
something
but hockey
in,
players
but...
are hockey players are nuts.
Yeah. No,
Sorry. Yeah.
It was Morgan Barron. I
Okay.
can't believe I remembered that. That is remarkable. And just to go back to the bunting thing. So, good buddy and listener of the podcast who said, "Can you shout me out?" So here you go, Ned.
Hi, Ned.
I sent him a message and I asked him, if Nye scores tonight or the next game, do we see Bunting in the lineup when he comes back? And he's hopeful, but he's in the mindset of me, like he's a liability. Because that's the other side of it too, is like he takes bad and stupid penalties, and the refs are looking at him for that. And actually, it is funny that you mentioned that Edmonton was being called relatively fairly. No, it's not. That Desjardins, or however you pronounce his last name, that wasn't a trip. That was a guy that when Desjardins was falling, he accidentally swung his stick out.
There's been some
hit of the guy, and then he stumbled. That's not a trip. That is a dive.
You mentioned this before we started. There's like the NHL is trying to give a run for their money. We kind of talked about it off the top, talking about Max Scherzer. The NHL's being like, umpires, we'll show you bad refereeing. It's rough.
Yeah, for me, I decided that last year I stayed up almost every single night watching the Avs games. I don't have that gas in my tank anymore, at least this year.
At least if they make it past this round, if it looks like they're going to the conference final, that changes everything. The first round, especially 100%. For you being like your games, well, at least you're the 9:30 game, but like that's a late start. Okay. Yeah, they did they do the swap on them basically every other game, where they like try and do that. That makes it very late for you. If you can hear me,
I tried it. I got to period 2 of the previous game, and it wasn't that good of hockey to begin with. Like you could tell that both teams just like they were trying really hard, but adrenaline was taking over, so they were making bad. It was really good junior hockey is what it felt like because of all the mistakes being made. I'll fully admit it.
That night, if you were a fan of the team that won, it was a great night for you. If you were a fan of a team that lost, it was not good hockey. You can enjoy a losing game.
So, yeah, like, and I've said many times, you know, that game sucked. Like there was that, I think back on that Nashville game, like last year when the game was called by a bad penalty by the refs saying there was too many men on the ice, even though it was clearly not too many men. And there was more Nashville players on the ice
yeah,
than there were
I remember
Colorado
that.
players on the ice.
It was like 7 Nashville players and like 4 Avs players.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it didn't matter though.
Exactly. So they lost that game because of that, unfortunately. But that was a hell of a game. The whole thing was just a back and forth battle. And yeah, Colorado lost. Am I salty about it? A little bit because the refs dictated the loss, but it was still, they put up a really good fight. And that's a win in my mind, is that they fought back. They fight back to come back and at least try to win the damn thing. And they did that so many times this season. The amount of comeback wins that they did was just stupid.
That's the only thing I have hope for in the Devils, is the Devils had the most amount of comeback wins in the NHL. They never came back from more than 3 goals down. They did not do that. It was either 1 or 2 goals. They're down 2 goals as we speak this. And I'm going to pull something up. If you could hear me typing, I was actually prepping this, so I apologize to anybody. So we'll read it aloud for those. You can see kind of how wonky it looks, but we're going to go, because we don't have games of the week, because, how can we do
and
that?
I didn't send you my bracket.
And Pat didn't send me his bracket. I put mine in a meme on TikTok, which is whatever. So here's what we're going to do. Because the Leafs and Devils game's still ongoing, so we're going to call those games. You can look at the score and judge whatever you want. No thinking, Pat. I want your immediate answer. Who wins? Florida-Boston, the whole series at this point, tied 1-1.
Oh, Boston.
I think Florida's going to take that. I think the dream is done. I think it goes to 6 games. Canes Isles.
That one's easy. It's Canes.
Canes for both. We can pretty much say this series is going to be tied at 1-1. Leafs and Tampa. Who takes the series? Leafs. You and I are in agreement. Devils Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah. All right. And let's go to the West. 1-1 Wild and the Stars. Who takes that series?
Stars.
You and I are in agreement there. I don't think we are going to see Marc-Andre Fleury again in that series. He came in last night and looked bad. They were like, all season we went back-to-back with them after Gustafsson had the best playoff performance that the Minnesota Wild have ever seen. And then Flower puts up one of the worst performances that the Wild have ever seen. Kraken Avs, as it stands right now, 1-0 for the Kraken in the series. Avs, okay. You and I'm going to say Avs. I just think that they've got a bit more. They can push through if it starts to get a little bit crazier. Oilers Kings, series tied 1-1.
Kings.
Ooh. And Jets Vegas.
Oh, this is the only one that I'm of 2 minds.
I am saying Jets. I believe on the actual brackets I filled out, I said Jets. I think that the goaltending is the difference there. And
it's the difference, but the thing is, with that series, if Vegas knows that's the difference, they're going to then cheat. They're going to push. So
that's the one where there was, I wish I would have saved the graphic. It was like the top 5 or 6 goal scorers for each team. And it's a little bit more lopsided for Winnipeg over Vegas. Vegas is a lot more like the Kraken and how it's kind of like a team effort. Winnipeg has that too, but they've got a little bit more of the top end. So we'll save this.
So just so everyone that's listening, the picks that I made of Boston, Canes, Leafs, Rangers, Stars, Avs, Kings, Vegas, that is what I chose for my bracket. That is who I picked to go through. If you send
me your bracket, I can put it on screen, by the way.
Okay, I will resend it to you.
And this is, I know I said no talking about what's going on, but the fact that Corey Perry now has 2 goals in that series against the Leafs, to me, is absolutely hilarious. Corey Perry is a playoff monster. The dude literally, Tampa knows that he is there not for the regular season. He is there for the playoffs. It's the same thing with Maroon. That is the whole reason that he is there. His goal in game 1, where he pushed the pad and everybody was like, did the puck go in? That is why players like Corey Perry will always have a spot in the NHL. So Pat's going to send me that. We'll take a look at his bracket. I can't remember my NHL password, so won't log in there. And
I'm just taking a screenshot of the screenshot because Facebook Messenger sucks, and they straight up said you can't use this file type because apparently it's a GIF.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they're like, it's not set up for this file type. I'm like, a GIF, a GIF. You really are that archaic that you can't handle a GIF? That is pathetic. Anyway.
Pat's trying to figure that out. So
yeah, can you tell that I'm rambling to stall? But here you go. I have sent it over. I know that the Kings over Edmonton might seem a little bit shocking. The Kings are the better team. I'm sorry. They are top to bottom. They are the better team. Yes, Edmonton has, like you showed that stupid friggin' graphic earlier, they've got McDavid, they've got Draisaitl. They had 3 100-point players on their team. I know that. I get that. They have just that. I know that they've been playing really well as of late, but between the two, I would 70% of the time choose LA over Edmonton to win the game.
The Kings are the much more well-rounded team. And that typically in the playoffs is the key to success. However, a team that can will 8 or 9 goals, that can be a problem. And the only reason Edmonton wins or loses this series is how Stuart Skinner plays. It doesn't matter if McDavid and Draisaitl put up 80 goals each. It is Stuart Skinner. He is what they live and die by.
LA is a team. Edmonton have hockey players.
Yeah.
That is the way that I look at the difference between the two. You have a bunch of superstars, or one superstar, a really good rookie goaltender, some decent defense. It's a segregated group of players, whereas LA, they are a fully functioning team. Their victories are shared. They have Kempe, they have Kopitar, they have Doughty. Those are all very strong players, but they work as a unit. And that's why I would choose LA over Edmonton every single game, or 70% of the games.
So for those watching, I just want to zoom in on something here. On the tiebreaker goal amount.
Right, I told you
Pat has the Leafs winning the cup, for those who are listening. He also chose 34 goals as his tiebreaker amount. If you have listened to this podcast for more than 5 minutes, you know that Pat thinks that Austin Matthews is completely overrated, so the fact that he chose his number is hilarious, and even funnier, he thought that he put 35.
So, there's 2 things here that are hilarious. Yes, I legitimately thought that I typed a 5 and then I hit enter and I was like, I guess I went with 4. So that's one thing. But also, I want you to think back. When was that? When did Canada win the gold medal at the Olympics with all of the NHL players? Was that 2008?
2014 was the last time in Sochi, Russia. Or are you thinking Vancouver 2010?
Vancouver 2010.
Okay, so not the most recent one.
No. So I straight up looked at the TV when it went to overtime, and I looked at my family and I said, because I have been ripping this player apart the whole time, because I have said that this player is a bum the whole time, that the reason that Canada won't win the whole time is because of this player, they are going to score the overtime goal. And sure enough, Sidney friggin' Crosby scored the damn overtime goal that wins them the damn gold medal. So that's why this 34 is a guarantee. that the Leafs are going to win because, of course, Matthews is going to score the overtime winner.
So
to
Matthews,
prove that he's a superstar.
Matthews, Conn Smythe as well.
Throat.
Pat's Nostradaming that. If you're sharing a gold medal, you know what? I'll save my Canada gold medal story for another time when we're looking for time to kill. But so that's Pat's bracket. I literally hit random on mine. You can see it on our TikTok. It was the Kraken against the Devils in the final, and the Kraken win that. I don't think that one's going to happen because the Devils have a lot of winning they have to do between now and then. So
I will say that if you do somehow get that right, you're going to win $1 bazillion.
Here's the issue. I didn't even put like 10 cents on any of those games because I was like, bah. So that's kind of everything that's happened. There's not too much more to go in on. There's a bunch of little stories here and there, but they don't really matter. By the time we talk next week, there's a good chance that some series are done and we could be going into game 6s and game 7. So that'll be a lot of fun. So
yeah,
there's that. No air horn. Pat played it earlier. So do you have anything? Do you have anything you want to add, Pat? Oh yeah. By the way, I did end up choosing a beer. It kind of by default. I went to the beer store in the LCBO and I was like, they don't have anything from Switzerland. So it was like, hey, the Devils have a bunch of Swiss players. That would be fun. Nope. Okay. Is there any neat looking cans that are black or red? Nope. Anything that says Devil or anything like that? Nope. So I ended up going with Laker Red.
You made it a Laker. Make her a Laker.
I made her a Laker, and I only grabbed 4 because that's all they had. So apparently it was either going to be a sweep for or against the Devils based on the beer amount that I bought.
Oh, so you jinxed it.
Oh, I totally. It's all my fault. I am the reason.
Well, I mean, I can honestly admit that the reason that Colorado lost their first game is because I wore my apparently cursed Nathan MacKinnon t-shirt. I don't know why, but every single time that I've worn that shirt, they've lost. And I've been tracking. Like, they're about 60 to 70% win when I wear my Rantanen jersey that I'm wearing right now. The Fanatics one, it's not even a real hockey jersey, so I'm not even going to count anything that's related to that. And then you've got the Nordiques one here. That one did okay. When I wear it for away games, that one does decently well. I was wearing that when they won the cup, so it's got a little bit of good luck in there. But yes, that Nathan MacKinnon jersey, I have worn that I've worn it 9 times when they've played, and they have lost all 9 games.
So you want to play that game between sweaters, t-shirts, jerseys that I have. The Devils, I believe, are 0-13 in the regular season this year when I wear it. So I'm the curse. It's all my fault. Sorry, guys.
Bryan, you've got to start cheering for New York.
No.
Yes. Okay, the Toronto 6, they said, go Leafs go, and they cheered for them, and then they lost. So they said, okay, it's because we cheered for them. So they said, wishing all the luck to Tampa Bay on Twitter today.
And it's currently 7-2.
Sure enough.
Because John Tavares just got a hat trick.
Oh, good for him. Oh, 7-2 for them. Oh, look. How the turntables.
So I think that's a good place to call it for this one. We're just rambling for rambling's sake here. Did want to say, if you've been listening this entire time, thanks, especially tuning in at the end. Pat and I have decided on our TikTok, especially, it'll be on Instagram as well. We're memeing a heck of a lot more. So if you enjoy just awful hockey memes, now would be the perfect time. You can actually see it at the bottom of your screen. What we are, Ice Prep Podcast everywhere. So
I don't see it, but okay.
It's kind of on your screen.
I will also say that fans of Tim Robinson's I Think You Should Leave will be excited because that show is a masterpiece for memeing and just for comedy in general.
And Pat got me hooked on it today.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it and you're just like, I wonder what a person that has full disassociation of what real life is, what a TV show written by them would be like, that is this show. It is wonderful. It is pure insanity and makes no sense, and I love it. And yeah, the memes that can come from it, you've seen them. I can guarantee you've seen them. So get ready. You're going to see way too much of coffin flop and how much wine I'm drinking. I'm concerned about how much wine I'm drinking.
The memes are coming. We're getting set for the off season already. So, thanks everybody for listening. And I guess sneak peek teaser, some pretty big changes coming season 3 for us, which will start the next hockey season. So, looking forward to that. We're already looking ahead on that one.
Season 3 can't come soon enough with a back-to-back cup win by the Avalanche. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to say it. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah.
Ugh, I feel sick.